Hello, everyone. Last night, Trump did something quite rare. He was very punctual. Just a few minutes past 9, he delivered a national address. To be precise, the content of this speech did not exceed our prior expectations. You could even say it fell a bit short of what we had anticipated. But right after the speech ended, everyone saw oil prices immediately shoot up, surging to nearly $104. Why is that? Because the market picked up on two very important keywords from Trump's speech. One was power plant, and the other was Stone Age. Iran and the Gulf countries also keenly caught on to some crucial information from Trump's address. These pieces of information immediately triggered different reactions today. One major issue that everyone is probably very concerned about quickly followed. Here it comes, right? The question is whether Trump will actually launch a ground attack or not. And at this moment, the Washington Post came out once again with an explosive report about a secret military plan of Trump's that sounds absolutely crazy. Of course, Wen Jiabao from the Chinese Communist Party side has made a high-profile public appearance, right? But Wen Jiabao's appearance, which has drawn a lot of attention, is actually just a small ripple on the surface that we can see. Beneath this ripple, there may be unimaginably turbulent undercurrents hidden from view, because it already directly involves the sudden deaths of many people. The infighting within the Chinese Communist Party may now be entering a phase of silent purges. A brutal game is underway. Let's first have everyone briefly discuss some of the key points from Trump's speech yesterday, including some of the hidden messages behind it. Last night at 9 o'clock, President Trump delivered a nationally televised address regarding the Iran issue. This was his first national address since the outbreak of the conflict, so of course it's extremely important, right? He spoke for about 20 minutes, and the overall tone was quite confident and tough. He mainly emphasized that the U.S. military had achieved an overwhelming victory and that the war would soon be over, and so on. As for the core substance of his speech, let's give a brief summary. First of all, he mentioned an assessment of the results of this military operation against Iran. As we expected, Trump declared that over the past 32 days, the U.S. military had achieved an epic, unprecedented, and overwhelming victory. Iran's Navy and Air Force have been completely destroyed. Most of the senior leadership of Iran and the Revolutionary Guard commanders have also been eliminated, and the entire command system has collapsed. He also mentioned that Iran's missile and drone launch capabilities, as well as the majority of its weapons factories, have been destroyed. Iran no longer poses a significant security threat. He said that the United States has basically achieved its main strategic objectives and that regime change in Iran has already taken place. So it seems that this is actually a very good setup, right? We've pretty much fought as much as we need to, and it's about time to wrap things up. Secondly, he mentioned the necessity and objectives of launching this war. As everyone saw, he harshly criticized Obama, saying that Obama was appeasing and nurturing a threat back then. He reiterated that this military action is to prevent Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons and to stop it from becoming an even greater threat, right? The third part mainly talked about the timeline for the next steps. Of course, this is currently the topic that the market and all countries are most concerned about. Trump made it clear that within the next 2 to 3 weeks, he will launch an extremely fierce attack to bomb Iran back to the Stone Age. He will complete all of America's military objectives, and then the operation will end very soon. He also reiterated that if Iran doesn't quickly reach an agreement, right, he will bomb their power plants. He repeatedly emphasized that they are winning and that the operation will be wrapped up soon. However, Trump did not give a specific end date. 2 to 3 weeks still seems to be a somewhat vague time frame. Moreover, he also stated that almost everyone, including the families of the fallen soldiers, hopes that he will see this task through and not give up halfway, and so on. Fourth, and most crucially, he mentioned the response to the Strait crisis. He emphasized that the current rise in oil prices and market volatility are all temporary, and that the main responsibility lies with Iran for recklessly attacking neighboring countries. He said that the United States no longer relies on Middle Eastern oil. We have already achieved energy independence. So he called on those countries that depend on the Strait of Hormuz, saying you have two options: either buy oil from the United States, we have plenty, or take on the responsibility of escorting your own shipments. The United States will no longer foot the bill for others, and so on. That's basically the four main parts. So if you just look at the content of the speech, you might feel that, well, it seems like Trump didn't say anything new. Basically, all of this is what he's been saying repeatedly to the media, to reporters, or in his own posts over the past few days. However, if what he said before, those statements he made were just to test the waters or had a kind of public opinion significance, then after yesterday's speech, its nature is completely different, because this time the speech was very formal, delivered as the President of the United States, right? It was a national address. That means it is now an official national policy, and the future direction of the war has been set. This is what it means. So how should we interpret the key points of Trump's speech? In my view, there are actually two main points. The first major point is that Trump once again emphasized that if Iran cannot reach an agreement, if it does not open the strait, he will destroy every power plant in Iran. Of course, that's a bit of an exaggeration, right? But at the very least, he will bomb the important power plants, and that is probably a highly likely event. Then he also mentioned the next 2 to 3 weeks, right? He said he would bomb Iran back to the Stone Age. So right after this speech ended, U.S. Secretary of Defense Hegseth immediately posted on the X platform with just one sentence: "Back to the Stone Age." Of course, this was in response to Trump's speech. It means that in the next phase, we're about to take major military action, right? This message actually tells us one thing. What is it? What Trump wants is for Iran to unconditionally open the strait and allow free navigation. If Iran can't do that, then Trump will make Iran pay a price so huge that Iran might not recover for the next 30 years. Basically, it's bombing them back to the Stone Age. Moreover, he specifically emphasized that the United States has no intention of getting bogged down in a prolonged war. "After I kill someone with a single strike, I will simply drift away, traveling 1,000 miles without stopping. And what's more, I want you to think about it. If you want Iran to be unable to recover for decades, the essential blow would be to destroy its critical infrastructure. That would definitely have to be bombed." So the main point here is that he said the United States, through airstrikes, might destroy a large number of Iran's critical infrastructures. The second major point is about Trump. He still rather implicitly left room for the possibility of launching a ground offensive. He emphasized that he needs to get this job done, right? But at the same time, he made it clear that he wants you Eurasian countries to handle the maritime navigation yourselves. Now think about what that means. It only means one thing. Trump will not let the U.S. military take on the kind of risks that could result in heavy casualties. However, he will do his utmost to ensure that Iran no longer has the capability to threaten the world. Of course, this capability doesn't just refer to Iran's military power, but also includes its economic strength, its potential nuclear capabilities, and so on. So the focus of this part actually directly relates to whether the U.S. military will launch a ground offensive, right? Regarding airstrikes, apart from Trump warning about targeting power plant facilities, there was also a rather significant piece of news today. The U.S. military, in a very rare move, targeted a key piece of Iranian infrastructure. It's a bridge. This bridge spans northern Iran, connecting Tehran and Karaj, and is called the B1 bridge. This bridge is said to be the tallest bridge in the Middle East, with a height of about 133 to 136 meters and a span reaching 180 meters. Iran itself calls it a national project and a source of pride. It is the most important main artery in the entire transportation network of northern Iran. This bridge, when it was destroyed, even Trump himself made a post to celebrate. As you can see, Trump shared the video of the bridge being destroyed and then made a post about it. He said, "Iran's largest bridge has collapsed with a bang, and there will be more incidents like this in the future. So Iran, it's time for you to quickly reach an agreement, or else it will be too late," and so on and so forth. And what's really interesting is that Israel immediately came out with a statement to clarify that it was the U.S. military who bombed the bridge, not them. They said, "We were not involved." What does this mean? Of course, they don't want to be criticized and accused of Israel recklessly bombing civilian infrastructure, because this bridge should actually be considered a civilian facility, right? That brings up a question. Many people might wonder, why did the U.S. military suddenly bomb it? This should be a very important bridge that is supposed to be for civilian use, shouldn't it? Actually, the reason is quite simple. To put it plainly, it's because some U.S. officials privately revealed to the media that the reason this bridge was targeted is that Iran's armed forces were secretly using it to transport many missiles and missile components from Tehran to launch sites in western Iran, to attack targets in Gulf countries. At the same time, this bridge also provided substantial logistical support for Iranian troops stationed in Tehran. In my opinion, it is a very critical node in the main artery running through the entire northern region. So as you can see, Trump personally backed the U.S. military in bombing the bridge. What does this show? It shows that Iran is playing around, but Trump is actually serious. If Iran really insists on holding out to the end, then Trump truly dares to destroy all of Iran's important infrastructure, even if it's dual use for both military and civilian purposes. He won't spare anything. He really would send you back to the Stone Age, and it would take you at least 30 or 40 years to recover. Of course, on the other hand, we also cannot underestimate the possibility of the U.S. military launching a ground offensive, as we've repeatedly mentioned. Yesterday, the Washington Post once again published a lengthy article revealing new information. It said that last week, the U.S. military had already submitted to Trump a plan to seize approximately 454 kilograms of highly enriched uranium from Iran. The figure is accurate down to the single digit. He said this plan is considered the most insane military plan in U.S. military history. So why is it called the most insane? What exactly makes it so crazy? Let's pause for a moment and move into today's sponsored segment. I'd like to recommend to everyone the often sold out Jeju Island Red Sea Cucumber Health Supplement from Korea. This Red Sea cucumber comes from local divers on Jeju Island, Korea. They are harvested by traditional free diving methods and made from wild Red Sea cucumbers. Because it is rich in many growth factors, it is very effective in helping the body recover from injuries. So the repurchase rate is also very high, and because the supply is limited, since it is wild, it often sells out. Let me share two examples with you. One is from a 63-year-old woman from Jeju who gave us some feedback. She suffered from meniscus damage, which is a kind of wear and tear in the knee joint, and she had long-term fluid buildup in her knee, causing unbearable pain. She tried all kinds of treatments. In the end, she could only rely on antibiotics and painkillers to get by, right? After watching our program, she decided to try this wild infrared mushroom. After taking it for a month, she found that the comfort in her knee joint had greatly improved, and she felt that the pain was significantly reduced. There was also feedback from Ms. Song, who has had high blood pressure for many years and lives in Miami. She told us that after taking this wild infrared mushroom for a period of time, she no longer felt dizzy during the day, and her sleep quality at night also improved significantly. Of course, all of these are personal experiences and feedback from our friends, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that everyone will have exactly the same results. Precisely because our stock is limited, we are now launching a special promotional offer. That is, as long as anyone who makes a regular purchase every month or every 2 months, this is called a subscription, right? And regularly buys this 60-piece pack of Red Sea cucumber, we will give you a free pack of Shenhuang Bishengpian. If you subscribe to the small box of 30-piece Red Sea cucumber, you will also receive a free tube of Korean restorative sunscreen. In addition, during the promotional period, all our users who participate in monthly regular purchases will also receive an extra $10 voucher for Shenhuang products. At the same time, friends in Mainland China, make sure not to miss out on an exclusive offer just for you. Only friends in Mainland China are eligible. As long as you purchase the 60-piece pack of Red Sea cucumber, not only will you receive a free pack of Shenhuang Yishenpian, you'll also get this $10 Shenhuang voucher. In addition, you'll receive a 6-year-old sealed wild black ginseng root. The more you buy, the more you get. Of course, if you don't want to make regular purchases, that's fine too. For one-time purchases, just enter my promo code, which is TJY, and you can still enjoy a 15% discount. However, we can't always guarantee stock availability for one-time purchases, right? If you're interested, hurry and click the link in the text area of today's program to place your order. All right, thank you all for your support. Let's continue discussing what has been called the craziest plan in U.S. military history. How did this plan come about? The general steps are as follows. The U.S. military planned to first airdrop several hundred elite soldiers deep into Iranian territory, right into the most heavily guarded core area, which is where Iran's nuclear facilities are located. Of course, the goal was to extract the enriched uranium. Then, these soldiers would have to withstand attacks from tens of thousands of Iranian ground troops, including the Revolutionary Guard, and under such heavy assault, carve out a safe zone. What happens next? Then, they would airdrop, using airborne delivery. What exactly? Excavators and other large-scale construction equipment. They would immediately have to build a makeshift runway, and specially trained soldiers would operate these large machines with the assistance of mechanical engineering experts. They would begin excavation, breaking through the rock layers to dig out the passage, right? This would allow them to access the underground enriched uranium storage area. After that, the U.S. military would need to safely seal all the enriched uranium into dozens of specially designed large containers, like steel cylinders, and transport them to the surface. Then, using transport aircraft and the makeshift runway they built, they would fly them out. They would take off and transport everything out. The entire massive operation, including the complex logistics and essential supplies for nearly 1,000 people, would have to be carried out under constant heavy siege and relentless artillery fire from the Iranian military forces. Moreover, according to experts, even if every aspect of this plan went extremely smoothly, in the best-case scenario, the operation would still take several weeks to complete. So this is nothing like a hit-and-run operation, right? It's not some kind of raid where you capture Maduro in just a couple of hours. This is not that at all. This is essentially about establishing a base deep in the heart of enemy territory. You'd have to stay at this base for at least several weeks, right? You need to make sure the base is secure, absolutely secure, so that you have enough time to, dig the tunnel and extract all of their nuclear enriched uranium. So, precisely because of this, a former U.S. defense official described it this way. This is not just like buying a car. It's equivalent to buying the entire production line. In other words, the risks involved in this kind of operation are extremely high. The complexity of this kind of military operation, right? The level of difficulty is absolutely unprecedented. Of course, since the difficulty is so high, does that mean Trump has already given up on the idea? Right now, there are signs indicating that he doesn't seem to have completely given up. First of all, in the past 24 hours, paratroopers from the U.S. Army's 82nd Airborne Division have been continuously airlifted from the United States to the Central Command's area of responsibility in the Middle East. According to several detailed reports from various United States media outlets, citing at least 2 high-ranking Pentagon officials, the United States is currently making strategic plans to significantly increase the total number of A-10 Thunderbolt II attack aircraft, frequently nicknamed the Warthog, that are stationed and deployed throughout the Middle East region. In addition to the 12 A-10S already deployed and operating in the region, 18 more will be sent to the Middle East, which is an increase of 1.5 times, up by 150%. We've actually given a brief introduction to the A-10 attack aircraft before, right? It is considered to have a sanctuary status and is known as the flying tank. Its firepower is extremely fierce, and it's also especially durable. It's mainly designed specifically for ground attacks to support ground operations. So just think about it. If Trump really doesn't care about keeping the strait open, right, he'd just let you Europeans handle it yourselves. Why does it need to deploy so many A-10S? I think that's something we need to question, right? Not only that, there have been other related moves. Just the day before yesterday, according to open source flight trackers, they tracked 2 new U.S. military aircraft called the EA-37B. This is the plane you see in the photo. Its name is Compass Call. It's an electronic warfare aircraft, and 2 of these planes have already landed at the UK's Mildenhall Air Force Base. Of course, that place essentially serves as a transit point, and from there they will be redeployed to the Middle East. This news immediately made headlines in professional military media, specifically as the top story in The War Zone, treating it as a major headline. Why is that? Because since these 2 electronic warfare aircraft were introduced, this is their first real combat deployment. They are the most advanced and latest models of electronic warfare equipment in the U.S. military. Of course, in any public reports, you won't see anything indicating that this deployment is specifically for launching a ground war, conducting a ground invasion, or carrying out special ground operations. There is no such statement. However, the deployment of these 2 aircraft based on their functions is highly advantageous for conducting ground operations. Multiple professional media outlets have clearly pointed out that if ground actions were to occur, such as special operations forces conducting raids, for example, to seize enriched uranium or to protect troops, then this electronic warfare aircraft, known as the EA-37B, would be extremely important. Because it can strongly disrupt enemy communications and remotely controlled explosive devices, it can prevent enemy drone swarms from coordinating their operations, among other things. In this way, it can greatly protect ground forces from attacks. It can significantly reduce the risks they face. Think about it, especially now, as Trump himself said, Iran's air force has been completely destroyed, and Iran's missile systems, including their air defense systems and anti-air missiles, have basically all been wiped out and can be considered negligible. Now, American and Israeli aircraft are flying back and forth as if they own the skies, right? So in this context, why does the U.S. military still need to deploy such advanced, latest generation electronic warfare aircraft? Of course, the most reasonable explanation he could give is that it might be related to some kind of large-scale ground operation. In short, Trump's 2 to 3 week plan, if you think about it, as he himself said, a few weeks would take us to around the end of April, right? The idea is to bomb Iran back to the Stone Age under the premise that Iran has completely lost its ability to resist. So, will Trump really go through with the most insane military operation in history? Well, as we all know, there are 2 possible scenarios for this operation. One is to seize islands over in the Strait, right? The other is possibly to capture enriched uranium. However, strictly speaking, from my perspective, all these deployments, right? For example, deploying the A-10 attack aircraft or the latest models of electronic warfare planes, they seem more like a backup plan. In other words, I think Trump hasn't fully 100% decided that he is definitely going to launch a ground war. Or to put it another way, he hasn't completely ruled out the possibility of not fighting either. Right now, he's making decisions based on the actual situation on the battlefield, because the situation on the battlefield changes in an instant. That's just how it is, right? It's very hard to say that I've set something in advance and I must do it, or that I absolutely cannot do it. So at this point, I think it's difficult for him to have a definite conclusion. Of course, if you, my friends, agree with my views, right? If you agree with my analysis, it's very simple. Just hit the subscribe button for us and give us a like while you're at it. That would be the best support you could give us. As for the next stage of the Strait crisis, I think it's very likely that, unfortunately, my prediction will come true. Just yesterday, when I was doing my show, I was telling everyone that the Strait could have 3 possible directions in the future, right? I said that Europe would take the appeasement route, give in to Iran, back down, and pay a sort of passage fee. I said that, relatively speaking, this outcome was the most likely, and that's exactly what happened today. It's already on the verge of happening. First, let me share with everyone the results of the poll we did yesterday. Yesterday, we conducted a poll with everyone asking about the 3 possible futures for the Strait, right? The first scenario is that Iran ultimately gains actual control, and the Strait adopts a toll model for passage. 56% of our friends voted in favor of this option. The second option is that after a U.S. military strike, the U.S. military withdraws, and then each country sends its own warships to escort their vessels, solving the problem on their own. This accounted for 28%, and finally, the first option is that Trump and Iran reach an agreement. In the end, Iran completely backs down and gives in, fully restoring free navigation through the Strait, and it's free of charge. This accounted for 16%, which is relatively the lowest proportion, 56%, 28%, 16%, that's the idea. So I wanted to give everyone this feedback first. As you can see, most of you actually share views that are quite similar to mine, right? We're all not very optimistic. Just today, because as soon as Trump's speech came out yesterday, Iran immediately sensed what was going on, right? Iran immediately came out and publicly stated that they welcome any European country to come and negotiate with them, and that they are willing to reach an agreement. They can allow your ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Of course, this passage is certainly not a free lunch, according to a media outlet under the Revolutionary Guard called Tasnim News Agency. Today, they released a report saying that Iran and Oman, these 2 countries, since Iran and Oman are on opposite sides of the Strait, right? That side is Iran, and this side belongs to Oman. It says that these 2 countries are working together to formulate a joint maritime agreement to ensure that in the post-war period, passage through the Strait of Hormuz can be conducted safely. At the same time, Iran is also establishing a complete system for charging fees to oil tankers. It is said that each oil tanker will be charged at least $2 million. In this way, based on the number of tankers passing through in the past, Iran could collect about $80 billion in revenue each year. That's not a small amount of money. So basically, they're just charging a toll for passage, right? They could collect around $80 billion a year just by doing this. Actually, in my opinion, to put it bluntly, why is Iran making these moves so frequently now? On one hand, they're sending messages to Europe about negotiating with us. And on the other, they're trying to rope in Oman so the 2 of them can collect the money together. Of course, some of this money will probably have to be shared with Oman. You can clearly see that Iran is testing the waters. What situation is this? If Trump really just bombs for 2 or 3 weeks and then leaves, Iran might say, I'll just hold out for another 2 or 3 weeks at most. After he's done bombing, the Strait will be mine. He would leave behind a power vacuum in the Strait. So do the various Eurasian countries really have the guts to send their own warships to escort ships there to prevent Iran from controlling the Strait? This is exactly what Iran is testing. And this test is happening very quickly. Unfortunately, you could even say the results are coming out immediately. One of the earliest outcomes is that French President Macron was the first to back down. Today, he came out and made a statement in an unmistakable tone. He said that using military force to reopen the Strait of Hormuz is unrealistic, and that has never been an option for us. Moreover, the reason Macron gave is that Iran has the capability to subject all transiting parties to threats from the Revolutionary Guard along the coast. Wow, that's just too frightening, and so on. So Macron issued a call to restart negotiations and restore peace and stability in the region. He used very lofty language, but in essence, to put it bluntly, what he really meant was that France surrendered immediately without even trying, surrendering to Iran, to a country that has already been knocked to the ground by the United States and beaten so badly it's looking for its teeth all over the floor. To surrender to such an opponent, and what's more, Macron even took a jab at Trump without mentioning his name. He said something like, I think right now we can't just talk without taking action if you want to take this matter seriously. You wouldn't be saying things every day that completely contradict what you said the day before. Of course, these words were clearly aimed at Trump. It's obviously about Trump. One moment you say you want to handle the Strait, and the next moment you want to wash your hands of it, right? You want to just walk away from the responsibility. Of course, in my view, Macron's so-called negotiations are actually just a repeat of that time when Obama directly sent money to Iran. I actually find it quite strange. I just don't understand why, when faced with an evil authoritarian regime like Iran, the only thing they can think of is to rush into negotiations, spend money to buy peace, and send them money. right? It's like, just don't cause trouble or don't come and provoke me. But in the end, what always happens is that the money is spent, but what you get in return is even greater danger. Everyone has seen this, right? Back then, how much money did Obama send to Iran, supposedly to stop them from developing nuclear weapons? But the result was the opposite. After Iran got the money, they immediately used it to make their nuclear program flourish even more, expanding it on an even larger scale. Now, the situation has gotten out of hand, right? If Trump hadn't taken action, in another year or two, Iran might have already developed nuclear weapons. That's the whole idea. So actually, Macron's actions, how should I put it? Let me use an analogy. It's a bit like Iran being a local bully, right? They've been running rampant in the neighborhood, collecting protection fees for years. Now Trump comes in, gives him a good beating, knocks his teeth out, and then Trump claps his hands and tells the surrounding residents, now you can relax. You can deal with him yourselves. He no longer has the strength to fight back. But as soon as Trump leaves, Macron immediately turns around and helps Iran up, seats him properly on the sofa, and then respectfully bows and kowtows to him, saying, Big brother, could we have a proper talk? Could you maybe give us a 20% or 10% discount on the protection fee or something like that? Basically, that's the whole idea. Many of you might think this is just too absurd. I also find it extremely absurd. Of course, this analogy might not be entirely accurate, right? But I think the current situation in the Strait is pretty much like this. So you see Trump, why does he always harshly criticize and openly denounce NATO as a paper tiger? Why does he call NATO a paper tiger? Why is it that whenever NATO mentions supporting Ukraine, they immediately start holding meetings, right? It's almost endless meetings. They hold meetings, take photos, issue a grand and impressive joint statement, and then that's it. Nothing follows. Then they just wait for the next meeting to issue another statement, and the cycle repeats over and over. For example, Germany's Taurus missile, which was so highly praised, still hasn't materialized. And among all the NATO countries, the UK, which claims to be the most steadfast and proactive supporter of Ukraine, as for their so-called Storm Shadow missiles, they only provided a few dozen, about 50 or so. This has forced Ukraine to rely on itself. Fine, I'll just make them myself. Now, Ukraine really has started to produce its own loyal and even long-range missiles. Of course, we've discussed this with everyone before, right? We said that Trump, due to the constraints of US law, can't just unilaterally announce a withdrawal from NATO. That's Congress's authority. However, it's highly likely that Trump will cut aid to Ukraine. If you don't believe it, just wait and see. When the time comes, once the U.S. cuts aid to Ukraine, this enormous war expenditure, all these costs will have to be entirely shouldered by Europe. Because in reality, this is Europe's war. It's separated from the U.S. by an ocean and really has nothing to do with them. So just like people used to say, it's like a person, right? If you want to slack off here, then over there, you'll definitely have to work harder. There's no such thing as a free lunch in this world, and you never get something for nothing. That's exactly what it means.